Hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, CrunkChocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with a quote-unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Subscribe to our $6 tier to enjoy original premium content like Breaking Bread, our match preview series, where we bring a guest on and chat City's opponents. We have our interview series, Chopping It Up, where I bring fantastic guests on. Recent guests that we've had, Aaron West. We've had both Courtney and Andre of Diaspora United. Bundesliga and FC announcer Derek Ray. I chat with Shireen Ahmed of CBC Sports this week. Really fun things. If you're a cinephile, we have some new content coming out with that. Tons of coming out. We're just really having a lot of fun with Patreon. I'm going to England for a week in March. All of the fun things that I will be up to, I'm going to be hiding all that shit behind a Patreon because trust. When the things happen, they record, I announce, you'll be like, I get it, and I want to see it. So subscribe to the Patreon, or you can even just become a free, join the free tier, and I sell each post individually. You can just purchase per post. I mean, that adds up really quickly. It's just easier to do the 6. But hey, if you want to buy 3 posts a month, that to me is a better deal than you doing $6 a month. But do what you want to do. How about that? But today we are here to talk the battle between oil siblings, the battle for 5th place. Oh man, who's going to make Champions League? Who's going to be pushed to Europa? I mean, hey, 4th and 5th could potentially both end up in Champions League. We'll have to see. But we are here to talk this match against the Magpies with, hey, there's nobody else I would much rather talk to about this team. I do give his team a hard time, and he can handle it. I think he can. He gives it back. And also, happy Black History Month. Shady Gang.
Come on.
Give it up to Elijah. How's it going, my brother?
Hey, I can't complain. It's a good day. It's wonderful to be alive. I don't know how you guys do time stuff, but I'm gonna let people know we're recording this after that Kendrick performance, like day after the Super Bowl. Got a lot of people who didn't understand it, and you know what I say, man? Hey, it wasn't for you. Happy Black History Month. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's a reason why I'm wearing my Crenshaw hoodie. I just gotta let everybody know. Hey, I'm here. I'm in the Midwest. But we still got that West. We still got that West.
You're not ties to LA at all.
Midwest, gang.
Yeah. I don't think that's who Kendrick was talking about, but yeah. Hey, I'd rather be in the Midwest than be in Canada. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna keep it like that. I'm gonna say that.
Des Moines, Iowa, Compton, they're pretty similar. I don't.
You in Iowa? I did not know that you were in Iowa.
Yes, it's Iowa.
Bro, is there snow on the ground right now?
There's not, but it is very cold.
That's crazy.
I wake up in the morning and there's crisp, like all the windows outside are frosted over, and yeah.
That's crazy, man. It was 75 today. That desert living, man. And the thing is, you don't ever get to make fun of me because basically the time period in which we interact, unless you want to do something this summer, I might be at Club World Cup. Who knows? We might have to talk collab. I don't know. I could let you know. But like, because we don't record in the summer, you can never get a good dig at me for living in the desert where it's like 110. Like, it's great right now. It's February. It's 75 degrees. I'm bullet. It's a good time.
I have been looking at Club World Cup because specifically City, Juventus, and Orlando, I've had a few people that I know be like, hey, I will be at that game. If you want to meet up and we can do another episode recording in person, which would be really cool specifically for those people who have told me about it. I've looked at it. that game, a lot of the tickets are sold out. So it's like specific strips.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also the Club World Cup. So it's like, do I even, I might wait to the last second. Also, I don't really I kind of have a rule about not going into Florida. Like I try to
Okay, well,
avoid
that's
it.
fair. I mean, and also like, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've been to Orlando Stadium. It's very weird area. I mean, I know shade to the folks in Orlando. It is an odd area. They got a cool little like bar scene and stuff down there. It's cool, but it's just like it's so sketch when you're initially there. You're like, what the hell? Because there's also like all this. I mean, I haven't been there in a few years, but when I went, there was like all this land that just was vacant. So it was like this vacant field that like one person owned and like didn't sell to the city or sell to anyone. And then like the Orlando City Stadium, and then down the street it's like Camping World Stadium, and it's like this weird giant ass vacant land that I think a church owned, and they just like they refused to sell. So it's a weird spot. Anyway, excited to be here. I will say it feels like the first time y'all had me on, it was like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like we're not rivals, blah blah blah. And now I'm just saying these last couple of matches has been a little dicey for y'all. Just saying, Newcastle and Man City, it might actually be breaking bread with an enemy now. I'm just saying. We catch y'all on a down year or two. Who knows? Anything can happen.
I'm sorry. As long as y'all have Eddie Howe, I'm not too worried.
That's crazy because Eddie Howe, you have to give him his flowers because the way that he dismantled Arsenal, in this EFL Cup was insane. Like, I mean, just. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but I specifically wasn't impressed with the second leg where he goes 3 in the back, 5 in the back, whatever you want to call it, and then just randomly had center backs pressing their center backs. Like that's absurd. I don't like who thinks of like we're gonna play 5 in the back, but we're gonna have a center back come all the way up, press, and it worked. That's how Newcastle scored their second goal. Is Fabian Schär is pressing a center back. Like it's cool. I love it. He's been in his bag except for in the league. So it's been rough the last couple of league matches, but it is what it is.
Let's start here with your chance to spread the gospel of Newcastle. What is something about the club that you love, or is there anything random about it that you want to, like a rumor, a myth that you want to debunk? This is just your chance to anything in under the world of Newcastle to just push propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even propaganda. I think a lot of people would agree with this, and you're going to get mad. But Newcastle have some of the best fans in England. I'm not going to say the best fans in England because people get tight, but I do think like that's the common. Every fan base says the same thing, except for Arsenal fans and Liverpool fans because they like to complain about everything. But every fan base has always been impressed with Newcastle's away support, Newcastle's home atmosphere. It really is truly like, I mean, these fans, this is all they have. I mean, like everyone in Newcastle, that's the only thing that's really there. I mean, they have the whole city revolves around St. James's Park. They, I don't know if you saw this, but they have like 180 something pubs within a mile and a half of the stadium, or within 5 miles of the stadium, something absurd like that. Like it all revolves around the team, and so they really go all out for their fans. And I mean, I feel like everyone listening to this, maybe you have some people who are new to City who maybe just started watching City in the past couple of years, would highly recommend tuning into the Cup final at Wembley. Like I already know Newcastle fans are going to bring their A game, but they truly do have a great atmosphere and great fans. They care a lot about the team. And a lot of them have seen pretty awful times. I mean, they had a great run in the 90s with Shearer and Warren Barton and a lot of the other guys. But, I mean, the Mike Ashley era is when I started following the team. That was truly awful. And then we got blessed to be bought up by another oil country in Saudi Arabia. So, I don't know, man. I got to give it to the fans. Probably my favorite part about Newcastle. They also crush it with the displays. War flags, they're really good at displays and tifos, all that kind of stuff. So the fans, man, it's all about the fans.
I mean, You said it. There's nothing there to do but drink and color. So I mean, obviously the tifos better be good.
Yeah, that's true. And he was speaking to the fans, the American fans, Toon Army meetup in 2019. They gave us these pint glasses. Shout out to my boys, Josh and the gang out in Denver. I'm telling you, best fans. I showed up. They gave me this pint glass. There was like, hey, this is all you for free. Well, I guess I technically paid for it because we had to like pay like $40 to rent out the bar and like the brew bus and all that. But still, best gift I've gotten from a supporter.
Hey, shout out to you, Newcastle fans. The Geordies over there with your thick ass accents. That I have curved a day in my trip to England because I want to go up there. I'll be in Manchester, so it's just like what's another hour or so. I want to hear those thick ass accents in person, like on TV, all these other things.
Yeah,
it's one thing.
I mean, a lot of people like it's actually kind of funny. All the Americans I know who've been to Scotland, which like I don't know, the more white people you know, the more white people you know that go to Scotland because every white person in America is from Ireland or Scotland or England. So they're like, I want to see my roots. So they all go to Scotland. But like Newcastle, to get to Scotland, you got to take a train out of Newcastle.
Uh-huh.
So like everyone who's gone to Scotland recently, which is an alarming amount of white people I know, they all send me pics from like them outside of St. James's and all that kind of stuff. Because it really is like people are like, what do you do when you're there? That's it, bro. Just walk around, see the stadium, go to the Strawberry Pub, like famous pub in Newcastle. Like get yourself a pint of Newcastle brown ale if they still serve it. I think the recipe's changed, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, check it out. I mean, the people there are sick. They're great. Every Newcastle fan I've met, every Geordie I've met, they're the nicest individuals. They're all crazy, but they're incredibly nice.
Shout out to my homie Maddie. I do just like a random side secret pod that we don't really push. But he was like, if there was a place that a werewolf could be like living and no one would ever know, and you would just go, it's the place. It's Newcastle. Like Facts. No one would think it'd be weird. They would just have a werewolf walking around and be like, yeah, that's Newcastle.
Yeah, really nice people. Great people. 9 times out of 10 would recommend.
And fans of werewolves. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Eddie Howe because you are right.
Or as some people call him, Beheady Howe, which that's a terrible joke that no one should make. But that's it. But yeah, Eddie's crushing it this year. I think we've talked at length about Eddie Howe. We already know Crunk hates him. But I think Crunk hates. Honestly, I'm on the record. I think Crunk's hate for Newcastle comes from the fact that he wishes he had a guy like Bruno in his side, pestering other teams, winning fouls, just really pissing off everyone else. Because I don't know, y'all don't got that dog in you at Man City, man. I got a lot of soft guys, and Newcastle is like the opposite attitude. Like they've got a bunch of players who just like their whole purpose is winding you up. And I think I mentioned this a couple times, a couple streams ago when I did a watch along with y'all. And it's like when one of the first ones I did with y'all, we were talking about Eddie Howe, and when he left Bournemouth, he'd had like a 6 or 8 month just like sabbatical where he just like kind of took time going and learning from other coaches. And he actually spent like 2 months with Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid, partially to work on a weakness of his, which like Eddie Howe, when he was at Bournemouth, his teams couldn't defend. And obviously go to like Atletico Madrid, like all they do is defend. So he learned a lot from Simeone there. But of course, like, bro, the dark arts, as we call them, like that's a Simeone thing. It's become a Howe thing. That's something you can always point out. Like Newcastle, they get in people's heads. They win a lot of fouls. They foul a lot. They just make people uncomfortable is a big part of the Newcastle identity. But style of football, we're on a 4-3-3 with Tonali as a 6, Bruno, and usually Joe Ellington or maybe Joe Willock, depending on injury stuff, as 8s. Newcastle they employ a press. It's one of those. I would say it's it's not as aggressive as it used to be, but still somewhat aggressive press. They've become a little bit better at playing with possession. They're playing out the back a little bit more. They're also a team that's really good at hitting on the counter. And so you kind of saw that in their matches against Arsenal, where they were kind of easily able to sit back and defend. But then as soon as they're able to turn the ball over, they've got a lot of guys with pace. They've got two really good press resistant midfielders in Tonali and Bruno. So you've got guys who can carry the ball forward. You've got Isak, who's always a threat in behind. Jacob Murphy, who's been absolutely insane this year. He's kind of the Miguel Almiron of this year when Miguel had his purple patch 2 years ago. And then Anthony Gordon, who's always a threat as well. So their counter's been pretty lethal this year, but also their press has been insane. It's been a little bit, I think, maybe the first season and a half of how it was like that was pretty much their main way of scoring goals was just we're going to win the ball back as soon as possible, as soon as they turn it over. Now they're a bit more methodical with their pressing. It's not as constant, but they do try to force people in the dangerous areas, which is what you should do with a good press. It's a much better press. Kind of reminds me of the Klopp presses of the last couple seasons where it felt like Liverpool always knew exactly when to press, when to make your center backs or goalkeeper uncomfortable. And that's kind of what Eddie House started to shift towards. And again, they've gotten so much better at playing with possession. They've got much better attacking patterns, which honestly is an area of growth. Newcastle could not beat a team that sat back against them in the last 2-3 years. And this year they've been pretty decent at being able to, play with a lot of the ball and still find chances to still score goals, all that good stuff. So there you go, man. That's kind of Newcastle in a nutshell. I feel like we've chatted so much Newcastle tactics and stuff over the last couple of years that it's like it is actually kind of nice to not 100% repeat